Hello there, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on where you are in the world. This is the second welcome session of the day that we're doing for the Experience event. And just before I really get started, I'm just going to allow the participant numbers to grow. That people are still joining. I can see the participant numbers growing as we speak, so I don't want to get too far ahead and then leave those folks behind. We're expecting to have the Dean with us today. He does have some back-to-back meetings, as you can imagine. He's a fairly busy man. When he joins, then we'll make sure that we're able to introduce him for you. But we're just going to give it about 30 more seconds. We'll wait for the participants to grow, and then we'll get started. So bear with me for just a few moments. Thank you. Okay, we're up to about over 50, 60 people now. So I think the majority of people that have registered are here. I can see that Soumitra has joined us as well. Soumitra, it's great to have you. So just before Soumitra starts to introduce himself, folks, we're really lucky to have Soumitra's time. He's a very important and very busy man, and it's a real privilege to have him here to welcome you as offer holders to the Oxford MBA. Soumitra's going to talk to us for 10 to 15 minutes. Soumitra, take as long as you would like. The floor is yours. And then after that, Soumitra will probably leave to go to other engagements, and then you'll have me doing a small presentation and a speech around the school, the program, and how we hope that you'll join us later on in the autumn. But let me turn my camera off. Soumitra, please, over to you. The floor is yours. I'll be back on once you've finished talking. Thank you.
Great, and thank you, Liam, and welcome everyone. So, first of all, a very big congratulations to each one of you. So you have an offer from Oxford side, and that's a recognition of both your excellence. Clearly you are amongst the best in your own class, cohort, generation, and we're very lucky that you have chosen to apply to us, and we're very happy if you, of course, come and join us in a few weeks' time. I'm sort of completing my first year at Oxford side. I joined last year as the Dean on June 1st. So in a few days' time, it'll be really the first year anniversary for me. And I must say that it's been an absolutely amazing time in terms of what I've experienced at Oxford. So let me just tell you a little bit in terms of my experiences and what I think makes this place very special. And hopefully it'll help you as you make your own decisions about which school to come for the MBA program. So first of all, before I talk about Oxford side, I have to tell you something about Oxford University, because we are located in the heart of probably one of the best universities in the world, which is Oxford University. And Oxford University is not just a 1,000-year-old university with amazing breadth and depth of talent in multiple fields across the entire range of its departments and other sort of institutes and centers. But I think Oxford University in many ways represents what I always term as an intellectual Disneyland. You have so many activities, so many interesting people, so many intellectually stimulating activities happening on campus that there is, you're spoiled for choice every single day. And you can literally explore and take advantage of as much as possible, as much as your schedule allows you to do so. And that ability to be able to benefit from this richness is extremely, I think, valuable. What is also special about Oxford University is that it is extremely connected with each other internally. So you know that in the system, we have a collegiate system in which every student is a member of a college. And these colleges provide a wonderful home for meeting other students, for connecting with other bright young minds like yourself who might be studying completely different topic areas, might be doing politics or something in medicine or in engineering or something else. And I can assure you that you will have absolutely amazing interconnections and conversations with so many bright young minds at Oxford University. So when you look at the MBA experience at Oxford side, you cannot really separate that from university per se, because we are in the heart of Oxford University. And your experience out here in the MBA program will be, of course, what you experience outside school, but also what is very important, what you experience at the university as a whole and also the college in particular. And that college experience is something which you will not get in most other top tier schools that you might be looking at. So that's a very unique part of what happens at Oxford. Now, if I look at Oxford Side, the Side Business School, and I always say that, yes, we are a young business school in the heart of one of the oldest and the most ancient intellectual hubs in the world. But yet we are very much attuned to both the values of the university and also what I think the world demands from business schools these days. So when the Oxford Side Business School was sort of born almost 26 years ago, it was born with the values of the university, which are very much around the notion of doing good. How can we make a positive impact on the world around us, on society, on business and the environment? And these are values of Oxford University, which have been there for a long time. These are not really new values per se. For a business school, these were new values or new sort of guiding parameters for the building of a new school around 30 years ago when the school was started or conceived of. Today, of course, many other schools claim to do the same thing. Why? Because we all realize that business schools and businesses in particular have to focus on not just only making money, which is important, but also very important, probably even more important at this stage, is doing good for the world, doing good for the environment, making sure that we have a planet on which we can actually do business and live comfortably. And these kinds of impact-oriented thinking, this kind of a doing good orientation has been at the heart of Oxford University's business school, the Side Business School, since the start. And I would say in many ways, we were the original, I would say, business school that created many of the thinking around this area. And today we're very proud that actually this kind of a thinking or philosophy is part and parcel of everything that we do on campus out here. Now, I know that many of you will join the program and you will experience Oxford Side. And I can tell you that everyone out here on campus is completely dedicated to one thing, which is helping make you succeed more in your career, in your choices, in your life. Because ultimately, your success is our success. We don't have any doubts about that. So we succeed by making you more successful. So essentially, everything the program, Liam will talk about it a little later, the program design, the program support that is there inside the school is designed to help you become more successful. And of course, that comes from a number of different groups of people, the faculty, the staff, the various centers, the various co-curricular activities, the various actual electives and core classes you will take. The whole combination of that is designed to make you successful. And of course, let's not forget our very valuable alumni community. Our alumni are there all over the world, many dozens of thousands of them. And they all are very important part of what the network will create for you in the future. So they are very important value-adding components of the network. And you will find that regardless of which country you're working in, there'll always most likely be an Oxford Side MBA alumnus or alumna close to you. And certainly there'll be many Oxonians close to you, and all Oxonians will share a common sort of connection through the Oxford University sort of connection out there. Now, I think, in the program, of course, you will learn about multiple skills and multiple topic areas. I think our goal is to help you to succeed in whichever organization that you choose to build your career in. Some of you will build your careers in social entrepreneurship organizations. Others, a majority of you will build careers in major mainstream businesses. And of course, some of you might end up going in government positions. So we do see our students going into a variety of different organizations. But regardless of which organizational setting you choose, I do believe that what we will do is prepare you with the right mindset. As you study the business fundamentals in the various core classes and electives, we hopefully will give you the right kind of a mindset, the DNA of doing good to the world. And as you go into the various career choices that you make, be it in NGOs or government or in mainstream businesses, we hope that you will use these organizations to do good for the world. You will lead and change these organizations from within. I think that's a very important goal that we have, because we do believe the world gets changed by action from our alumni. And alumni, of course, we wish are important leaders in these various organizations that have an impact around the world. When I talk to the students in the program, and of course, over the last several months, I have interacted with students in the program, many of whom have chosen Oxford over other top leading MBA programs that they had an offer from also. They all tell me today that they're so delighted and so happy that they have chosen Oxford side. And they all relate, a variety of very interesting experiences they've had. They are very, very happy with the quality and diversity of the class. As you know, in this current MBA class, we have 48% female. We have students from over 95%, of the class comes from international countries. And there's a great richness and diversity in the class that I can only say is intellectually stimulating and also very rich from a learning perspective. So, I'm sure that, and I hope as you make your choices, you will choose Oxford site as your chosen home for an MBA. And keep in mind that you will gain at Oxford site not just the business fundamentals that you can get from any other program, but you'll get inside you the DNA of Oxford University. You will in fact become part of this 1,000-year-old university and carry on the rich tradition, in your own lives in the future. So once again, Liam, thank you so much for this chance to interact with the group. And I hope it is useful for the group. And I'm very happy that, that this group is out here today, listening to at least us and interacting with us and sharing things with us. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any questions, but if not, I'm happy to also let you carry on.
There was one question, Soumitra, that somebody sent through, and thank you to whoever sent this through. Just while you were talking there, if you're happy to answer this question, please feel free to take a few minutes. It just says, what adjustments have you made to the Oxford MBA since assuming the role of the dean in your first year? Soumitra, please.
Yeah, so, I think in my first year, to be very honest, I have been observing, listening, trying to understand, the MBA program, the strengths, the areas for improvements, talking to students, talking to alumni, talking to companies, who recruit our students. So I've been doing a lot of listening. We have also, in a sense, started a process of rethinking some of the elements that we may have to build up and emphasize more in the future. And I think one of the areas where we have started work already in the program is the creation of more career-focused pathways. So I think we do believe that, students make different choices in terms of different sectors to focus on. And we try to make it easier for students to pick the pathway of their choice. And we started creating initial sort of pathways this year, and we will build out the pathways more and across more sector groups in the coming years. We're also putting in place the foundations for creating some kind of a pre-MBA, foundational modules which are offered online, but they will not be ready in place for your class, but they'll probably be put in effect for the class entering in 24-25. And that is mainly because we have to go through a whole approval process inside Oxford University. We're making any kind of a structural change or major change of that kind in the system. And in Oxford University, like any other university, has very strong controls and sort of, groups of people evaluate, propose changes to the program, and we're going through the process of proposing this change to the students. And this will not impact your group. This will possibly a change that might happen in the future. But on the whole, I think we're just trying to, fine-tune the program, make it more stronger, make it more career focused. And that's, I think, the major direction in which we are going.
Great. Thank you, Soumitra. On behalf of everybody in the room who can't turn their camera on and say thank you, I just want to say thank you for your time and for your inspirational words. It's been great to have you. We understand you're a busy man. If you need to jump off and head to another meeting, by all means do so. If you're happy to stick around for a while and watch me present, by all means do so. That's entirely up to you. But once again, thank you for sharing some of your afternoon with us. We very much appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Liam. And I just want to say final word to the participants who are on the program on this call is that I wish you all, the very best in your careers. Doesn't matter what choice you make, but I'm sure if you choose Oxford side, definitely have made the right choice. Okay. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Soumitra. Bye for now. Okay, folks, back to me, just me, sadly. I'm going to try and share my screen back so we can have a bit more of the slides on display. Bear with me for one moment. Hopefully you can see that now. Thank you for sending the question through, whoever that was. I appreciate that. There are some people in here, guys, that were in this morning session as well. John, I'm looking at you. Surely you would have slept by now after waking up at 3 a.m. for this morning session over there in the States. If you feel like you are about to go through the second version of the same meeting from this morning, I will not be offended if the participant numbers just suddenly drop now that Soumitra has finished. By all means, head off and have the rest of your day to yourself if you were here this morning and you've heard my next part of the session before. For those people that don't know me, my name is Liam. I'm the Associate Director for the Recruitment and Admissions team here on the full-time MBA at the school. All of your names are familiar to me. All of your names have passed my desk, passed the admissions committee's desk, as we've tried to build the cohort and pour over who would like to admit to the school. So the first thing I want to say is just a huge congratulations and echo what Soumitra was talking about. Oxford is a difficult school to get into. We have a number of applications each year. We only have a certain number of places that we can offer. The fact that you are an offer holder means that it's a real accomplishment. And if you don't already, hopefully you do. If you don't already, you should feel extremely proud of yourself. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all of the hard work you've put into your application and into the journey to your MBA to this point. I mentioned this morning in my session that the MBA application is a big piece of work. And if you've applied to 2 or 3 schools, then it can be an even bigger piece of work, because you almost have to be careful that you don't just copy and paste lots of your components, because, we'll have essays with different names of schools in, and I can't wait to join this school, and you've left it in by mistake. So it's almost like you have to start from scratch and do each application separately. So my team and I very much appreciate the effort you've put into the application. We get some applications that are full of detail, and we get some applications that are a bit lighter on detail. And the ones that are full of detail obviously paint a better picture of who you are, and therefore in some ways are more compelling as an application. So your hard work has paid off. Your hard work has been worth it, I hope. The good news is now that your work is done, and we'll talk more a little bit about that in a moment. But before that, I just want to extend some thank yous to my team. Behind the scenes, they've been working tirelessly to arrange today, and hopefully you've been in some of the earlier sessions, if not my earlier session. Then we had a faculty session earlier. We had a creative destruction lab session, and we had a student panel. So thank you to all of the hosts of those sessions. Most of those have come from my team. Thank you to all of the organizers of those sessions. Almost all of those organizers have come from my team. You have worked tirelessly in the background, and I very much appreciate it. And I think if we were able to have people on screen to give a virtual round of applause, then I think everyone would join me in one. And then secondly, to my team again, thank you for just the work you've put in over the year. It's been a tough market this year, and I'm happy to share this. I think application volumes across the world, across programs, no matter which school you speak to, some application volumes have dropped in some ways quite significantly, in other ways maybe less so. So everyone is fishing from a smaller pond in terms of business schools this year, I think. So it's been tricky to think about some of the direction of travel that we want to go in for the MBA, that we've been asked to go in by Soumitra in his first year in the MBA. So it's a real testament to the skill and the diligence and the hard work of my team that we are on track to exceed all of our targets and all of our goals. And we'll talk more about what we're trying to build a little bit later on in the session. Going back to you as a group of admitted students and how your job now is done, that's it. I said again this morning, if you were in this session for the first time, you're possibly dialing into something Oxford related with no nerves. The interview is over, your application is over, you have a very hopefully comfortable and confident position that you're sat in thinking, I'm in, I've been admitted, my goals have been achieved, at least the goals to get into the school have been achieved. And it's the job of us, the school as a whole, my team, Soumitra, the careers team, everyone that you'll hear from over the next couple of days. It's our job now to allow you to see that this is the MBA that you should be choosing. This is the home you want to have for the next 12 months. This is the program that can help you meet your goals in the most effective way. And some of you in the audience will probably have already paid your deposit and secured your place. Thank you, that's incredible. Some of you are still taking a bit longer to make your mind up and maybe consider other offers that you've received elsewhere. Completely normal, we fully respect that. Our job over the next couple of days is to make people see that have made their decision already, that it was the right decision, but also for people that are on the fence a little bit, hopefully push them and move them in terms of move the dial in a positive direction towards accepting the Oxford offer. What I do want to say about the sessions that have happened so far, the sessions that are coming up over the next 48 hours, some of them will be a little bit more interactive than others. We have a webinar style session for this afternoon, so your cameras are off. You can by all means send questions through to the Q&A box, and we've had one already for the Dean. Thank you again for that. Don't feel as though you have to wait. We have a Q&A session at the end of this session. The last 5 or 10 minutes will hopefully be set aside for questions and answers. But if you have questions as we go that occur to you, that crop up in your mind, please just send them through the Q&A box. So I might not get to them straight away, but it's good to have them there ready for the end of this session. We have some polls to get started. So my colleague Hazel, who's working tirelessly in the background, as I mentioned, is hopefully on hand to launch those. These polls are anonymous, guys, so feel free to lodge your answers. We'll have some aggregated results. We'll show you those aggregated results, but we won't see individual responses. So please feel free. I'll turn my camera off. I'll mute myself for a couple of minutes while we generate enough responses to get some data to share. If you can just do me a favor, there's more than one question, just scroll down. There's about 4 questions in total. So once you've done the where am I dialing in from question, please scroll down and do the other 3. And I'll be back with you in a moment to go through some of the results. Thank you so far. Guys, we're just going to give it about maybe another 20 to 25 seconds. There's roughly about 17 people that haven't replied yet. Absolutely no pressure at all for everybody to reply. And some of those people will probably be my own team members who are watching to critique my performance today. So we probably won't get to the full list of registrants and participants, but we'll just give it a few more seconds before we then start to share those results. Let me turn my camera back on for this. Okay, it looks like we've plateaued a little bit. Hazel, if you're happy to end the poll and then share the results for us, please, so everyone can see. Thank you. So first of all, regions, unsurprisingly, although, again, I've used the wrong word. I was fully expecting most of this afternoon session, based on the time of day that's happening here in the UK, to be populated by people to the west of where we are. So North America, Latin America, the Caribbean, people in Europe that are just maybe an hour ahead, or people in Africa maybe an hour or 2 ahead, maybe some South Asia, but we have people in Southeast Asia, we have some people in East Asia, we have some people in Oceania. I can't even imagine what time it is in Oceania right now. It's definitely at least midnight, I would think. My time zone knowledge isn't that good, but just commitment for showing through and showing up. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for this session, but for any of the sessions that you've been to today so far. Scrolling down to the sectors, again, similar to this morning, the main 3, I'm going to use these inverted commas, the main 3 sectors are well represented, as you would expect. We have a bit more social impact than we did in this morning's session. We have a lot more other, and again, a note on the other, guys, there's a limit of the number of multiple choice answers we can set up in a Zoom multiple choice poll like this. So please don't be offended if your sector wasn't given its own category and you're lumped in with the others. That doesn't mean in any way that you're any less valuable to us. We just try to pick out the ones that we thought would have the biggest responses, but then government and healthcare have embarrassed me by having no responses this afternoon. So I'm sorry if you're in the other and you had something to say, but we couldn't give you your own platform. With regards to what people are looking to change, if people were here this morning, you'll remember that about 33%, about 1 in 3, were looking to change all 3 of those things, that fabled triple jump, triple pivot: geography, job role, function, and sector. But this afternoon, it's only about 20%, and the vast majority of people, again, are looking to just maybe change 1 or 2 of those things. And that's in line with the trends we've seen probably over the last few years here at Oxford. About 2/3 of the class for the past 2 years have changed or wanted to change 1 or 2 of those things, and 1/3 have wanted to change everything. So just a note to the people that are looking to maybe triple jump. In a 1-year program, it's definitely possible. But my overarching piece of advice is to think carefully about your career plan and start early. You don't have to wait to join in September to then be able to talk to the careers team. There's a career session tomorrow that's happening about this time, I think 2 p.m., so 1 hour earlier tomorrow. And then a career session happening on Friday morning for the people that are very far ahead in terms of time difference. That might be a better one for you to dial into. But listen to what their advice is, listen to how you can engage with them quite quickly over the next few weeks even. Mostly those activities are open to people that have paid their deposit. So as part of your decision-making journey, you might think, actually, this will push me over the line so I can get talking to my careers representative as quickly as I can. But again, don't let that one thing be the only thing that convinces you. We'll talk a little bit about making your mind up later on in this session. And you can see here in terms of people that have committed already, the vast majority of people, almost 4/5, have said, yes, I'm accepting my place at Oxford. So that's great to hear. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your confidence in us. We hope to prove you right over the next few days and the next 15 months as a whole. And for the people that are yet to commit and decide, then just let us know what we can do. We're open to having conversations. If you have queries or concerns, and concerns is a bit of a dramatic word, but if you have concerns, then let us know. We want to have those conversations and that discourse with you. So if that's with me, if that's with my team, if that's with someone that we can connect you with at the school to answer those questions for you, we are very much open to that. Okay, Hazel, if you can close the polls down for me, that would be great. Thank you very much for your support in the background. We'll move on to the main section of the session. And it kind of echoes what Soumitra was talking about. This is not my quote, folks. This is off the website. I can't say that I created this bit of copy, but I have stolen it for this slide and just put my face next to it. This is really echoing what the Dean was saying about the kind of business school that we see that we are and why we think that's important. We have this image, this picture of the intersection of traditional business and impact that we find ourselves at and that we have purposefully placed ourselves at so that we can try and explore the relationship between, as Soumitra was saying, doing commercially well, making lots of money for your company, for yourself as an individual. That's perfectly fine. It's an absolutely valid motivation for people to wanting to go to business school. We'll help you do that if that's what you want to do here at Oxford. At the same time, though, we feel as though we as a school, our alumni as a community, have a responsibility to at least show some curiosity to understand what we can do to, while we further our financial gain for our companies, while we make our shareholders happy, while we increase our revenue on our bottom line, we also at least explore this question around, well, how can we do that? And at the same time, how can we create positive social change for our workforce, for our community, for our region as a whole? You think about the world where we are at the moment, there is an ever-growing list of ways to create impact, whether it's something like transforming food systems, redistribution of wealth, promoting equality, increasing diversity in all of its forms, tackling the climate crisis. There are so many different ways that you can do that, but we strongly believe that the decisions that are changing the world are being made in the boardroom. And that's where that intersection really sits. We have this idea of creating impact from within business. And that isn't to say that, those individual entrepreneurs out there fighting the good fight and changing the world aren't welcome here. Of course they are. They probably would be more at home here than maybe some of the other schools that are more of a traditional business school, where the outputs of that business school are more traditional finance, traditional consulting. So everybody should feel welcome. Everybody should feel welcome, even if you don't think impact is really at the core of what you want to do. And you do find that you have a bit more of a traditional outlook on where you want your career to go post MBA. Is it going to work for an investment bank? Is it going to work for MBB? Aspects of those sectors will still have some impact in them, but they're not maybe as impactful as some of the other outputs you can choose. I think my message here is that everybody could find a home at Oxford, but if you do have that sense of curiosity around how your future role as a global business leader with a level of seniority, with a level of influence, more importantly, and the toolkit and the skill set that we can give you to be an effective leader, what you can do with that and how you can create impact and change is something that will be at the heart of what we try and teach you and impart, and the wisdom that we share with you during your 12 months with us. How do we do that, and how does that happen to you as an individual? I've talked a little bit about this T-shaped model for a leader in a few of my sessions over the last few months. So if anybody's dialed into any of my webinars, if you've been to any of the experience events that we ran in person in Oxford earlier in this calendar year, you may have come across this before. You may have come across this yourself in your own reading or your own research around MBAs. And the idea behind this model is that vertical part of the capital letter T is really the depth of your specialization. And everybody in the room today is already a specialist in an area, in your chosen field, in your chosen sector, whether that's accounting, whether that's marketing, whether that's traditional finance, whether that's consulting, whether that's something a little bit more niche. You're still a specialist in something. And then in all honesty, guys, any MBA that you do will help you broaden that horizontal part of this letter T, because that's the part that talks about the breadth of knowledge that you can pick up, the breadth of technical skills that you can learn from an MBA. My job and the job of my team over the next couple of days, and the job of the school over the next few weeks as more content is released to you pre-arrival in September, is to convince you, in effect, that the Oxford MBA will provide the best vehicle, the most effective way to get to this T-shaped model, which is, I think, something that everybody should be aspiring to be able to go into a large organization, a mid-sized organization, a small organization. The skills you need are the same, but to be able to operate effectively in your role as a potential future C-suite leader, it's about the breadth of knowledge. It's about the things that you have a level of understanding and a level of good competence in outside of your own area of specialization. And that's what we're talking about here for the next half an hour or so. If I think about the T-shaped model and the leader that we hope that you become and that we think we can help you achieve, it's probably 3 different areas of expertise that we want to focus on, that we want to talk about, and they are just on this next slide. Access to learning, network, and skill acquisition. And we'll take each one of these in turn and talk a little bit about each one and how we can possibly help you with that. With regards to access to learning, if people were able to dial into the faculty session that we had this morning, you'll have experienced a session by Steve New. Steve is a professor in operations management here at the school, and I think he's a really good example of the kind of faculty that we have at the school that is a good mix of someone who is a practitioner, someone who has worked in the industry, and then someone who has then moved into academia later on in his or her career. Steve started off working as an engineer for Rolls-Royce. He then spent some time as a management consultant before moving then into the world of academia, and joined us, I think, at the outset of us being a business school. Has been with us almost the entire time since the mid-90s, 1996, when we first ran our MBA cohort with something like 50 people in it. I think one of my members of my team hasn't quite been there for that long, but she's been with us for a number of years and can probably remember the time when Steve was just in his first few years at the school. So Steve hopefully had a good session around his way of teaching. The thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit here is just that nice blend between practitioner and academic. And that blend is replicated across other parts of the school too. So in the careers team, in the careers department that you'll hear from tomorrow and Friday, depending on which session you can get to, you'll also hear a little bit from them about their time working in industry in the areas that they now advise students on. So we have people that have worked in consulting, we have people that have worked in finance and tech and global industry, and now they've joined us, and their job now obviously is to help place you into those sectors. And so it's a really nice blend of being able to understand what they're talking about, to bring their networks to the school, to bring their expertise to the school, and offer them to you as a really compelling and effective way of you getting into those sectors. If we think outside of the business school for a moment, Soumitra touched upon this quite well, and you'll hear about this a lot over the next day or so. We are embedded in the wider University of Oxford. If you look at recent Financial Times, The Times, educational rankings, the University of Oxford, I think for 7 years in a row, has been voted the best university in the world. And I always say this with a bit of a smile on my face, guys. Oxford is very good at being quite big-headed about itself. I don't like to be big-headed about Oxford because it does a very good job of that on its own. Sometimes that's warranted, sometimes it's misplaced, but I think it's fair to say that as an institution, the University of Oxford is an incredible place to be, and you'll be right smack in the middle of it at the business school. So outside of your business school faculty, you'll have access to the other departments of the university. So if you want to go and think a little bit about, well, there are some classes that I want to go and sit in on, there are some classes that I want to go and audit, I want to go and hear about social science of the internet or social data science at the Oxford Internet Institute. Can I go and audit some classes? Yes, of course you can. If you want to go to the Blavatnik School of Government and hear about public policy, can you do that? Yes, of course you can. Now, there's a caveat here that your MBA schedule needs to have space in it to go and audit those classes. You should not feel encouraged to skip MBA lessons to go and audit some other classes in another department. That will not be that will not be looked on kindly. I should say that will be frowned upon. But if your schedule allows, if you have the energy, because the colleges and the social life of the university and the sports teams and the societies and the clubs that you can join will all eat away at your free time. But if you have the time and you have the energy to go and experience some of that other learning and some of those other subjects from the other departments of the university, then I think it's fair to say that the access to learning section of this diagram, Oxford does extremely well. You have world-class, world-leading faculty on your business school doorstep, and you have faculty that are working in the best university in the world just down the road. And if you're thinking about which other business schools that I'm considering might be able to compete with that, look, other business schools will have incredible faculty. That's not what I'm saying. But that extra community, that extra level of learning that you can get access to here at Oxford will not be found almost in any standalone business school, and probably can only be rivaled by Cambridge because they have the same collegiate system here in the UK that we do. So again, not to be big-headed in any way at all, because I strongly believe that things aren't big-headed. If they're true, you can say them in a big-headed way, of course, but I hope that I'm not. It's just, I think it's a fact, and the results of the rankings show that the University of Oxford is an incredible place to be. With regards to network, let's talk a little bit about that. So network really it's an interesting concept, network, because people will join an MBA and one of their biggest motivators will probably be the network that I can build. But that actually, it's a subjective thing. It can mean different things for different people. So some people will be looking for future collaborators, future business colleagues, future partners, maybe in terms of founders and co-founders and people working in their C-suite of a company they're trying to build. Other people are just looking to listen and learn from people from parts of the world they haven't been able to work with before. Other people are looking for a growth in their friends network, and all of those things can happen, and all of those things are equally valid. But let's take a moment to think a little bit about the network you can have at Oxford. There was a Forbes article recently, and it was interviewing alumni, talking to them about what are the 3 things that you enjoyed the most? What are the 3 things that you took away from your MBA experience? What would you say were the most valuable parts of your life as an MBA student? And almost unanimously, the answers that they gave included one statement, and that statement was, it was the people that I was surrounded by. You know, we become who we're surrounded by, and surrounding yourself with people like the people you'll find at Oxford is something that I think people understand on the way in, but don't really understand until that first day of launch. And my team and I are coming to you in the break, and we're helping with the tea and the coffee, and we're helping out, make you feel at home, and we ask you how it's going, and you'll say to me, Liam, you told me to expect to be around great people, but I didn't know just how great you meant. And it's true. It's a real thing. It really happens. And you'll have imposter syndrome. And then unbeknown to you, the person next to you will have imposter syndrome about you because they think that you're equally amazing. So a message here is just to leave your imposter syndrome at the door on day one, if you can. Easier said than done. I think it's natural that you'll feel some, but everybody is rooting for you, and everyone is in the same boat, and they'll feel exactly the same way that you feel about them. As Soumitra mentioned, this year we have about 320 people in the class. We have 48% of women. We are working very hard to get to 50% women. It would be such an incredible achievement to be the first European school, the first top tier European school. And I say top tier without any disrespect in this sentence, but there are some smaller institutions that have smaller cohorts that probably have all reached 50% women. I think University of Copenhagen, the business school in Copenhagen, got to 50% women a couple of years ago, but they have a class of about 40 people. And so finding 20 women from 40, I think, is easier than finding 160 women from 320. So with all due deference to the University of Copenhagen, congratulations to them. But I think if Oxford were to get to 50%, I think it would be okay to say that we are the first top tier European school to get to that figure. And that would be a milestone. And we're currently, and I don't mind sharing these numbers, and I'm sure my team wouldn't mind, we're currently at about 49% women for the incoming class of the people that have paid their deposits so far. So we're very nearly there without any pressure at all. If there are then any women in the audience today that are yet to make their mind up and would like to have a discussion about being part of the first cohort that gets to 50% women, that will go down in legend, guys. And that's a dramatic thing to say, of course, but it absolutely will. If you will forever be able to say you were part of the first cohort in the top tier European business school that got to gender parity. And that, I think, is a milestone that I know that my team and I and the school as a whole would be extremely proud of. And I'm sure as a student and a candidate, you would be equally proud of as well. So if you want to help us on that journey, then we'd love to have you. But, again, it can't be that one thing that pushes you over the edge to say yes. There has to be a number of things. We have about 64 nationalities in the class this year, and some people who will say, Liam, you've been big-headed enough about Oxford already. LBS have more than 70 nationalities. INSEAD has more than 70 nationalities. I'd say, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I agree. They have bigger cohorts, so you might expect that they have more nationalities. I don't know if that's true. I might be clutching at straws, but what I do know is that if you want to go to LBS, we can go, let's go hand in hand. We'll walk down the road and I'll show you a classroom full of finance men and women. And if you want to go to INSEAD, let's do it. Let's go to Fontainebleau. We'll go down the road there and I'll show you a class full of consulting men and women. And what I'm trying to say here is that we have people coming into the class next year, and this isn't just unique to this year, guys. This happens every single year. This morning, we had some people some candidates dial in from Oceania, more than I think the 1% that we have this afternoon who have managed to stay up into the wee small hours to listen to me speak. And I wanted to use this lady as an example. She's a businesswoman. She's a successful founder of her own company. She's worked for KPMG. She's been a consultant. She's also a gold medal winning athlete in Tokyo at the Olympic Games. I interviewed somebody in stage 3, I think. So back in February, March, I did some interviews, and he was trying to tackle the world food crisis by pioneering a way to farm and then harvest amaranth as a protein source to really move away from animal consumption and meat consumption and the harmful effects that can have on the environment. And this is the kind of diversity that I think is much more important than just how many nationalities do you have, how many boxes can you tick. Look how many countries we've got people from, guys. It's not unique anymore. Every single European business school has more than 90% of their cohort come from overseas based on where they're based as a school. So it's good that the dean pointed out the nationalities, and I'm not here to correct the dean in any way at all, but for me, diversity of thought, diversity of experiences, diversity of how you problem solve, diversity of how you approach issues, diversity of where you've worked and your cultural background is much more important than just, but look how many nationalities we have. I mean, that's important. Diversity in all of its forms is important, of course. But if we're talking about why you should come to Oxford, then it's the people that you'll be surrounded by, not based on the flag that they carry, but based on the thoughts that they have, based on the way that they conduct themselves, based on the way that they interact as a group. We have a very collaborative cohort here at Oxford. We look for teamwork. My team and I make it a mission of ourselves to look for those skills, either in the application or in the interview. Everyone that I interviewed will have had a question about teamwork. Everyone on this call today probably has some question from their interviewer about teamwork or communication or interacting with others, because it's fundamental to what we do. And the reason that I talk about that in terms of a tangible example of how that can benefit you here at Oxford, you know, let's take the finance people from earlier on in the poll that said, I'm coming from finance. They're probably experts in their field. Their vertical section of their T-shaped model is all about finance. And so the finance modules, the core modules that we'll do, it might be a little bit easier for them than for someone who's not come from a finance background. But what we've seen happen year on year is that those experts within the student group, within the student community, will put on extra sessions after faculty have finished with their lectures and finished with their seminars to help the non-finance experts in their groups come up to speed and feel as though they can handle the concepts that they're really just facing in the classroom for the first time, and feel as though they can handle the information that faculty are trying to embed in their minds. And we don't like the idea that by its nature, the MBA is naturally a competitive thing. Of course it is. Everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to succeed. And in some ways, you might be fighting against your colleagues and your friends for some jobs at the end of the year. That's perfectly natural. But we also want people more than that to share their success, to share their best practice, to bring their colleagues and their friends along with them. Success of the many is just much more important than success of the individual. That's the outlook that I personally have. That's the outlook that my team has. And that's the outlook that the school has in terms of how we try and build the cohort. So you think about the kind of people you'll be surrounded by, you think about the network you have, and we haven't even talked about the wider university. And again, it's that whole being embedded in the university thing. You, outside of your business school, with all of these diverse mindsets and diverse individuals and in all of that word's definitions, you have thousands of university students that you'll be in the same college as, and they'll be studying a whole range of subjects outside of the business sphere. And you'll sit down with them and strike up a conversation with a stranger over dinner in a college one evening. And that conversation will blow your mind, will absolutely blow your mind. And you'll learn things from them that you didn't expect to be talking about in a one-year MBA. And they'll learn things from you. And we have so many examples of MBA students that have met students from other departments that have gone on to form companies and organizations together and use the expertise of the business individual and then the real in-depth knowledge of the subject specialist to have amazing careers. And I won't take time now to talk about it, but if you want to hear any of these stories, then speak to any of my member of my team, and we'll be able to regale you with so many options, you'll probably get a little bit bored of them. But it's real, guys. You'll meet some incredible people on the MBA. You'll meet even more incredible people outside of the MBA. And if there's one thing that I think we are the best at, and I've been around the business school landscape for almost 7.5 years, Oxford is the best at surrounding you with the best versions of MBA students. And your cohort is the only thing, and I say this in a positive way, the cohort is the only thing you won't have an issue with at the school. You'll have issues with something else. You'll have issues with the career service. You'll have issues with the scheduling. You'll have issues with the fact that you feel like you're overworked. You'll have issues with the fact that you've got a clash on a Thursday evening. You've got finance lab, but obviously also you have something else in the wider university you want to go to. They're natural grumbles, guys. You'll have those, and we want to hear about them as well. The cohort is the only thing that you'll be amazed by, consistently amazed by, and not coming to me or coming to my colleague and saying, oh, Liam, have you thought about doing it differently? Because maybe it would work better this way. And that's the beauty of Oxford, guys. We want you to disagree. We want you to respectfully actually ask us if there's a better way that we can do it. We want you to respectfully debate with each other. The whole ethos of the school, the whole ethos of the lectures, everything that we do is group-based class discussion. There's some individual exams, there's some individual group work that you'll do, there's some individual class work that you do, but a lot of it is working in collaboration with your colleagues. And one thing that I think my team can be hugely proud of, and this is them, it's not me, is that the people that we bring into this school are amongst the most incredible people you will ever meet. So that's network. Skill acquisition, I would say, is probably a little bit more kind of practical, a little bit more straightforward, less emotive, I would imagine, and more just kind of matter of fact. We have a range of things, and if you dialed into the CDL, the Creative Destruction Lab session this morning, you'll have had a bit of a taste of that. We have a range of things that are really designed to set up to help you build your skill set so that when you graduate from the MBA, the technical knowledge of the MBA is there in your mind, but also the practical application of that knowledge, which is more important really than the knowledge itself, is how do you put it into practice in the real world, is also there. So if you want a career maybe in finance, then look into the finance lab, and there's a finance lab session tomorrow that you can dial into. If you're interested in Creative Destruction Lab and you weren't able to get to the session today, let us know. We can connect you with the people that run those sessions so you can hear all about what they do and how they can train you and teach you to tear things down in a constructive way, in a creative way, and rebuild in a more effective and efficient way. The careers team that you'll meet over the next couple of days will have a range of workshops and activities and options available to you to think a little bit about what are the softer skills that I need to succeed. And they're talking to your target companies on a day-to-day basis to understand what skills these companies are looking for when they hire MBA graduate talent, and they're bringing that knowledge back to the school to run these sessions to put you in the best possible place to succeed on your career journey. So engage with that careers team as early as you can. So curricular, co-curricular, career sessions that happen in the wider university, once again, that whole benefit of being embedded in the wider university really does come into the fore here as well on the skill development side. I know I've probably focused on network more than skill development. If you have any questions about skill development, let me know. I'm just conscious of time. One thing that I would just like to finish on as a summary, if you put all of these three things together in your journey towards a T-shaped leader model, I think it's probably fair to say that Oxford is very well placed to help you succeed. Now, we don't pretend we have all of the answers. Guys, we don't. We're not perfect. No business school is perfect. There'll be some things that will frustrate you. There'll be some things that will take you by surprise, both in a good way and in a challenging way. That's to be expected. What I think is beautiful about Oxford as a university, as a business school, Saeed specifically, as a city as a whole, is that while we don't always have all of the answers, we'll definitely be able to provide you with the right questions to ask, and we'll give you the skill set and the courage and the know-how to ask those questions with the right people. So the last thing I will say before we open for questions, and I can see there's a couple that have come through in the Q&A box, so thank you for sending those through in advance, is just, it's my job to sell you this program. Guys, I am literally paid my salary to sell you the idea of coming to Oxford. So you should challenge everything that I've said, at least in your head. Challenge it in your head. But what I would ask you to do is over the next few days, over the next few weeks, as your interactions with the school continue to grow, is think about the things that I've said, think about what you're trying to do with yourself, with your own development, whether it be skills, whether it be knowledge, whether it be profile or network, and ask yourself, is what Liam has told me ringing true? Because fundamentally, it's your decision whether you come to Oxford or not. We would love to have every single one of you on the call today. We don't We don't make offers for fun. Guys, we don't make offers to fill a quota. We make offers because we believe in you. So if you hold an offer, which everyone on this call does, it's because we think you're incredible. We think you can bring value to the cohort that we couldn't find in somebody else, and we want you to come. But it can't be that I've convinced you to come. It has to be your decision, and you have to be at peace with that decision. So think about all of the aspects of what you're trying to do with your next year of your life. Maybe it's a 2-year program that actually would be better for you. That's okay. We'll be disappointed if you don't come. Of course we will, but we're not going to be upset or angry. And guys, even if we are upset or angry, like, what's it got to do with us? It's your life. It's too big an investment. It's too big a decision for you to make the wrong one. It has to be a decision that you're comfortable with. But just please keep in mind the things that I've tried to talk to you about today. Keep in mind how you think Oxford can help you achieve those things. If you feel when it comes time to making your decision that the things that I've said have rung true with you and you agree with them, then great. Let's see you in September. If you feel as though there's another school that can do that better for you, then great. Good luck, genuinely good luck with your career. You'll be amazing. I know you will. That's why you're here. But it's a shame that you're not going to do it with us. But that's okay. We understand your decision. That's probably it from me. We have about 2 or 3 minutes left. I am happy to overrun a little bit and get into the questions. I don't want people to have sent questions that I can't quite get to. I'm not saying I can get to them all, but I'll get to as many as I can. Let me just open up the Q&A box and see what absolute delights are waiting for me there. If you do have any questions, then please continue to send them through, and I'll stay on for as long as I can. But I understand, especially if this is your 5th session of the day, you might have a bit of Zoom webinar fatigue. So again, I won't be offended too much if the participant numbers drop for the next few minutes. Let's have a look for the first question. In the same way as this morning, the first question is a rankings question. Guys, what is your approach towards MBA rankings? Is this important to Saeed? Yes, absolutely. It's important to Saeed. 100% it's important. If you speak to the dean a year ago when he first came in, one of the first things he said to me, he said, Liam, we need to improve our rankings position. And everybody agrees with him there. I would counter that with the FT, and which is really the only rankings that we really care about. Will be in other rankings as well, but the FT rankings, I think, is the one. The methodology of the FT rankings currently is still skewed and weighted very heavily in favor purely on financial outcomes of alumni 3 years out of the school. So your individual salary and how much your individual salary has grown. And that, I think, doesn't always lend itself hugely well to the school that we're trying to be with regards to, for example, that gentleman that I spoke about earlier who's pioneering amaranth farming and harvesting to provide a source of protein for the world to help tackle the world food crisis. He'll be in your class next year. He probably wouldn't be accepted if we were gunning solely for rankings success, because we think about a salary that he may or may not be taking from his own venture in the next 3 years. And it might not be the kind of salaries you could get if you work in Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan. And we're not the kind of school that will sacrifice what we believe is important and that value that we think we can add to society and the responsibility we think we hold to society. We won't sacrifice that just to climb the rankings. What we're looking to do is try and find the middle ground where we can do better in the rankings, because we should be doing better in the rankings in lots of ways, while still maintaining and being true to what we believe is important. So I hope that answers the question. But fundamentally, yes, the rankings are important. We'd all like to be a little bit higher. We are working hard to try and do that. Let me have a look. What else do we have? What would you suggest we do during the pre-MBA period to prepare ourselves academically and professionally for recruiting? So let's talk about recruiting first. There was a really good LinkedIn post by Dan Kiernan in our careers team this morning. That's Kiernan, K-I-E-R-N-A-N, first name Dan. If you're not connected with him yet, look for him. He's one of my connections. Feel free to connect, but read his post this morning. It talks a little bit about some steps that you should take on your career path before you join the MBA in September. And ask this question again, whoever this anonymous attendee is that sent this through, please ask this question again tomorrow in the career session if you have the time. Outside of your career journey, one piece of advice I would say, it's a very intense year, guys. It's a 1-year program. It's a busy 1-year program. There is a whole range of things you can do in the wider university and things that you should try and do in the wider university. you will need all of the energy that you can muster. So because of that, give yourself a break before you physically join in September. And whatever it is that you can do to recharge your batteries, and that's different for everybody. If it's a family holiday, if it's a solo holiday, if it's going to the beach and doing nothing but reading and drink cocktails for 2 weeks, then go and read and drink cocktails for 2 weeks. If it's going to spend time with loved ones and that recharges your batteries, do that instead. But whatever it is that you need to do to join during launch week, ready to go and ready to go for 12 months straight, please take the time to do it. We have some people that will finish their full-time job on a Friday evening in their home country, fly to Oxford over the weekend, get to their accommodation maybe on a Sunday afternoon, and then start launch on Monday. And adrenaline gets them through the first few weeks, but by mid-October, early November, you start to see that it's just taking its toll on their energy levels and on their ability to really try and do all the things that they want to do. So outside of your career journey, one piece of advice is just give yourself a bit of a break and be ready for what will be a very energetic and fun and challenging, but also in some ways draining year. Guys, I'm going to take one more question and then I'm going to end it there. So I'm sorry in advance for the questions we didn't get to. Please let me have a look at one of the questions. Liam, you hinted that there could be improvement with the career service. Did I say that? Did I say that there could be improvements? My careers colleagues will not be happy with that. I think what I said was you'll have some things that you'll be unhappy about, and maybe the career service was one of several options that I gave. In my defense, there were several options that I said that you might be unhappy about. The careers team is incredible. Guys, the careers team will work themselves to the bone to support you in your career journey. I think we have some incredibly talented people in the careers team. I think the careers team are very well placed to help you succeed. I think the only improvement, and this is not me trying to duck the question at all, the only improvement that I would want the careers team to go through, one is I wish they had more people. I wish a lot of our departments had more people, to be honest, but I wish they had more people because there's 320 of you and there's maybe 15 of them. And two, and this is not a slight on any of you in the audience today because you haven't joined the school yet, I wish that the students manage their own expectations more carefully. And by that, and it's not a negative thing to say in any way at all, but by that, I think the careers team will meet you halfway. In some respects, the careers team will meet you more than halfway. But a lot of that journey, a lot of the ownership of your career journey has to be on you as an individual as well. So it's imperative, if you're looking to do quite a drastic change, that you engage with the careers team early on, that you go and find them, you tell them what you want from your career, you take advantage of the options and the workshops and the activities that they put on and put in place for you, and you make the most of their expertise. Please don't make the mistake of overlooking the value that the careers team bring to the school. They're an incredibly talented bunch of people. They can set up a lot of activities, but those activities are only as good and effective if they're well attended and the people that they're put on for attend and go to them. And again, it's not a criticism of the students in any way at all, because they've got so much going on. And some of those career sessions might clash with something that they have to do for one of their modules. And some of them might clash with just an activity that you would like to try. And you only have so many hours in the day. It's a very difficult thing to juggle your time as a student on the MBA, especially in a one-year program. But the careers team will set up a session with an organization to come in and do a presentation to the student body about hiring opportunities in their offices in London or around the world. And we'll have 50 people register and then 4 people turn up. And then the company thinks, well, why are we here? Why are we here to do this presentation to 4 people when we were promised 50? So it's not an improvement in the careers team necessarily. It's more an improvement in the relationship between the careers team and the student body. And that has to work both ways. So it's not on the students to fix that. It's not on the careers team to fix that. It's on the programs team here at the school. It's on the student council a little bit to help advise. It's about working as a group of teams to collaborate and understand what the best way forward is. But that's one improvement I would like to see in the careers team and student relationship. And I hope you don't think that I've ducked your question. I think the careers team are amazing. They're probably the second best team in the school after my team, I would say. But don't tell them that, because they'll probably think they're there first. Guys, I think that's all we have time for. I'm very sorry that we've run out of time. I'm very sorry that we didn't get time to answer all of your questions. I hope it's been a useful session. I really hope, my team really hope that we see all of you in person in September, but this isn't the last time that you and I can chat. If you have any questions that we didn't get to, if you want to have a conversation one-on-one with me over the next few weeks to help you make your mind up, to help you decide just about anything that you'd like to talk about, then I'm here. My door is always open. Please just reach out through my team, add me on LinkedIn. We can have conversations there. It really isn't a problem. I'd be more than happy to do that. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your time for the sessions today. Please enjoy the rest of the sessions that my team have put on for you over the next couple of days. And we hope to see you on campus for launch in September in person. It's my favorite day of the year. Hopefully you can all be there. So we'll see you then. Thank you again. Bye for now and enjoy the next few days.